Welcome to the peaceful space of sleep-friendly science, where we journey to a realm more alien than the stars, yet closer than we could ever imagine the vast, dark heart of our own planet. Have you ever gazed at the night sky, pondering what life might exist in the cosmos? Tonight, we turn our gaze downward into the crushing abyss of our oceans, a place where sunlight fears to tread and where more new species are discovered than anywhere else. Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let the soft sounds guide you as we begin tonight's journey into the unknown. Section 1. The Twin Infinities of Wonder. We begin our journey in a familiar place of wonder. Picture yourself on a cool, clear night, far from the city's electric hum. You lie back on a blanket of soft grass, and your gaze is pulled upward, drawn into the velvet expanse of the night sky. There, scattered like diamond dust, are the stars. Each one a sun, a distant furnace of unimaginable power. Yet to your eyes, they are gentle, serene pinpricks of ancient light. You trace the familiar patterns your ancestors named the hunter, the swan, the great bear. These are celestial anchors, stories written in light that connect you to millennia of human curiosity. You see the soft, milky wash of our own galaxy, a river of stars so dense it blurs into a celestial cloud. You know, in the quiet, intellectual part of your mind, that the light from the nearest of these stars began its journey to your eyes before you were born. And the light from the farthest galaxies has been traveling for billions of years, a postcard from a time before the Earth itself had cooled. The cosmos is a wonder of scale, of distance, and of time. It is an emptiness so profound it is almost a solid thing, a perfect vacuum punctuated by islands of matter. We send our thoughts and our dreams out into this great void. We build telescopes, our metallic eyes, to peer deeper, to collect this fossil light and decipher the stories it tells of cosmic birth and stellar death. We search for planets, for the faintest whisper of a world like our own, and in this search, we feel a sense of grand, lonely importance. We are looking out, away from ourselves, for a reflection in the cosmic mirror. The questions it asks of us are grand and existential. Are we alone? What is our place in this vast, silent theater? There is a profound peace in this upward gaze. It is a clean, cold, mathematical beauty. The laws of physics that govern the waltz of planets and the burning of stars feel elegant, predictable. The mystery is one of sheer, mind-bending distance. But tonight, let's perform a simple, gentle shift in perspective. Let your gaze drift down from the heavens, past the horizon, past the sleeping land, and down to the surface of the sea. Imagine it now, a vast, dark mirror reflecting those very same stars. From a distance, it seems to hold the sky within it. But as we draw closer, we realize this is not a mirror. It is a veil. What if the greatest alien world isn't millions of light years away, but mere miles beneath the hulls of our ships? What if the most profound mysteries of life, of adaptation, of existence, are not written in the cold fire of distant suns, but in the living, liquid darkness of our own planet? This is the other infinity. Not an infinity of empty space and distant light, but an infinity of dense, close, and teeming darkness. An inner space. A universe folded in on itself, right here at home. While we have mapped the surface of the Moon and Mars with more detail than our own ocean floor, this inner world remains a continent of shadows. We call our planet Earth, a name born of the soil and the land we walk upon. But a glance from space tells a different story. It is a world of water. A blue marble, swirled with clouds, whose continents are but islands in one single, globe-spanning ocean. And as we dip below the surface, even just a few feet, the rules change. The silence of space is a silence of absence. The silence of the deep ocean is a silence of presence, of immense, crushing weight. The darkness of space is an emptiness waiting to be crossed by light. The darkness of the deep is a physical barrier, a blanket of water so thick that the light of our sun, the very star that gives us life, cannot penetrate it. After the first few hundred feet, the familiar world of color and light is completely extinguished. It is a realm of eternal night, a kingdom that has never known a dawn. This is the fundamental paradox we will explore tonight. We have long looked to the stars for signs of life, for beings evolved under alien suns. We have imagined them, written about them, searched for them with our most advanced technologies. Yet, in doing so, we have perhaps overlooked the most alien life imaginable, which has been evolving alongside us all along, hidden beneath a veil of water. The cosmos, for all its grandeur, is largely sterile. It is a universe of rock, gas, and radiation. Life, if it exists elsewhere, is likely a rare and precious exception. But our ocean is the very cradle of life. It is not an empty stage, but a thick, soupy, chemical medium. It is a primordial broth where life is not the exception but the rule, bursting forth in forms so strange they challenge our very definition of what it means to be a living thing. So, as you rest here, feeling the gentle rhythm of your own breath, let your imagination sink. Leave the cold, clear infinity of space behind. Let go of the stars and the galaxies. Instead, feel a different kind of pull, a gentle, downward drift. We are not launching ourselves outward in a craft of fire and steel. We are sinking, slowly, peacefully, into the quiet, liquid heart of our own world. We are entering the true unknown, a realm not of empty distance, but of profound, living depth. A world where the pressure is so great it could pulverize steel, and yet, life finds a way. Not just to survive, but to flourish in breathtaking, bewildering diversity. This is our inner space, and its capacity for harboring new, undiscovered beings is, for now, greater than the cosmos itself. We just need to learn how to see in its dark. Section 2. A realm of crushing pressure. As we continue our gentle, downward drift, the first thing you become aware of is not a sight or a sound, but a feeling. A sensation that begins as a soft embrace and gradually transforms into an immense, unyielding presence. It is the weight of the world, made tangible. Up on the surface, under the sky, you live at the bottom of an ocean of air. The atmosphere, stretching miles above your head, presses down on every inch of your body with a weight of about 14.7 pounds per square inch. We call this one atmosphere. Your body is perfectly tuned to it. You are born into this pressure and you do not feel it any more than a bird feels the air it pushes against to fly. It is the invisible, effortless baseline of your existence. But water is different. It is so much denser, so much heavier than air. As we sink, for every 10 meters, about 33 feet that we descend, the pressure increases by 1 full atmosphere. The weight of all the air in the world is added again, and again, and again. Imagine yourself at the edge of a swimming pool, taking a deep breath and diving to the bottom. You feel that gentle but insistent pressure in your ears, a signal from your body that you are entering a different realm. That is the beginning of this journey. Now, imagine diving deeper than any human could on their own. At 100 meters down, a mere 330 feet, the pressure is already 10 times that of the surface, a crushing force for any creature with lungs full of air. Our most elite submarines, marvels of engineering with hulls of reinforced steel, have their limits. They creak and groan under the strain, protesting the incredible force that is trying to squeeze them into oblivion. The ocean is asserting its power, reminding us that we are fragile visitors in a kingdom not built for us. Now, let us sink further, far beyond the reach of submarines, into the true abyss. We pass 1,000 meters, 2,000, 4,000. We are now in the abyssal plains, miles beneath the surface. Here, the pressure is over 400 atmospheres. It is the equivalent of having a large elephant balancing on a postage stamp, or the weight of 50 jumbo jets stacked one on top of the other, pressing down on every square inch of your being. It is a force so immense it changes the very nature of chemistry. It is a power that would instantly turn our bodies to pulp, collapsing our lungs, our cells, our very bones into a dense, unrecognizable mass. This pressure is the great gatekeeper of the deep sea. It is the primary reason why this inner space is more inaccessible to us than the vacuum-sealed surface of the moon. Space is empty, a void we can shield against. But the deep ocean is a plenum, a fullness of force that pushes from every direction at once. There is nowhere to hide from it. And yet life is here. Not just surviving, but thriving in absolute defiance of our understanding of possibility.
How?
The secret is a beautiful, philosophical act of surrender. The creatures of the deep do not fight the pressure. They do not build walls against it. They invite it in. Think of an empty plastic bottle. If you take it deep underwater, the pressure will crumple it instantly, its rigid, air-filled structure no match for the weight of the water. Now, think of a balloon filled with water. If you take that deep underwater, it will barely change. A little compressed, perhaps, but its internal liquid pressure perfectly balances the external liquid pressure. It is in equilibrium. The life of the deep is like that water-filled balloon. These beings are often composed of soft, gelatinous tissues. They are creatures made of water, for a world of water. They have no air-filled spaces like our lungs or swim bladders that would collapse. The water within their cells is at the same incredible pressure as the water outside. For a deep-sea fish or a translucent squid, this immense, crushing weight is simply normal. They are born into it. They feel it no more than you feel the air. It is their atmosphere, their sky. This pressure is not an enemy to them. It is their sculptor. It is an invisible artist that has shaped their evolution for millions of years. It has favored bodies that are soft and yielding, stripping away the need for heavy, rigid skeletons. It has molded their very biochemistry. The proteins and enzymes inside their cells, the delicate machinery of life, have had to evolve to be incredibly robust. Special organic molecules called piezolites pack around these vital components, acting like molecular guardians, protecting them from being squeezed and distorted by the weight of a world. It creates a profound separation between their world and ours. If you were to bring one of these delicate, gelatinous creatures up to the surface too quickly, it would be a journey as violent and fatal for it as a journey to the abyss would be for you. The dissolved gases in its tissues, stable under the immense pressure of its home, would expand and fizz like a shaken bottle of soda. The creature would literally fall apart, its body unable to comprehend a world with so little weight, so little holding it together. Their heaven is our hell. Our gentle, light-filled world is a fatally empty vacuum to them. So, as we continue to drift in this imaginary, peaceful descent, feel that pressure not as a threat, but as a defining principle. It is the invisible architecture of this entire world. It is the wall that has kept this realm pristine and mysterious. It has created a separate, parallel evolutionary track, a laboratory where the rules are entirely different. It has ensured that whatever life we find here will be, by its very nature, profoundly and fundamentally alien. It is the first great mystery we must accept. The next, which awaits us just a little deeper, is the absence of the sun. Section 3. The Canvas of Eternal Night. Our gentle descent continues, and as the immense, silent pressure becomes our new reality, another, more profound transformation begins. It happens slowly at first, a gradual theft of the world you know. We are sinking through the upper layers of the ocean, the sunlit world, the realm of vibrant corals and shimmering schools of fish. But now, we are passing through the twilight zone, the despotic realm. Here, the light of the sun, once a brilliant, life-giving presence, becomes a pale and weary ghost. The warm colors, the reds, the oranges, the yellows were the first to be extinguished, absorbed by the first few hundred feet of water. Now, the vibrant blues and greens are bleeding into a deep, uniform indigo, a final, fading memory of the sky. The sun, from this depth, is no longer a distinct orb, but a faint, hazy glow far, far above. It is a world of silhouettes and shadows, a watercolor painting left out in the rain. And then, as we drift deeper, We cross an invisible, final threshold. We sink below 1,000 meters into the aphotic zone, the midnight zone. The name is perfectly, beautifully literal. Here, the last photon of sunlight, after its long journey from the heart of the sun and its desperate struggle through the water column, finally gives up its ghost. It is extinguished. It is gone. And what replaces it is a darkness unlike any you have ever known. It is not the darkness of a moonless night on land, which is still softened by starlight and the faint glow of distant cities. It is not the darkness of a closed room, which still holds the memory of light and the promise of a switch. This is an absolute, primordial, and eternal darkness. It is a physical presence, a thick, velvet blanket that has smothered this world for millions of years. This is a kingdom that has never known a dawn. The sun is not just absent. It is a myth, a concept as alien to this place as the crushing pressure of this world is to ours. For a moment, in this perfect blackness, you might feel a sense of primordial fear, the ancient human instinct that equates darkness with danger and emptiness. But let that feeling dissolve, because in this void, something miraculous happens. Just as your eyes might adjust to a dim room, your mind's eye adjusts to this abyss, and you begin to see, not with light from above, but with light from within. A soft, ghostly pulse flickers in the distance. A momentary, ethereal blue. Then another, a string of tiny green lights that traces the path of some unseen creature. A sudden, dazzling flash illuminates a shape of impossible beauty for a fraction of a second, before plunging it back into mystery. You are witnessing the universe of the deep creating its own stars. This is bioluminescence. Living light. It is not the hot, violent light of a star, born of nuclear fusion. It is a cold, silent, and deeply efficient light, born of chemistry. Within the cells of these strange and wonderful creatures, a molecule called luciferin meets an enzyme called luciferase. It is a simple chemical dance, a reaction that releases energy not as heat, but as a cool, liquid glow. It is life's slow-burning fire, a biological magic trick perfected over eons in the dark. And this living light paints the eternal night with meaning and purpose. It is the language of the abyss. Imagine a patient hunter, the anglerfish, a creature of nightmare and wonder. It drifts motionless in the black, and from its head dangles a fleshy filament, at the tip of which is a glowing lure. A tiny, captive colony of bacteria lives there, shining steadily, a deceptive star in the unending night. To a smaller fish, this light is an irresistible beacon of curiosity, or perhaps a promise of smaller prey. It draws closer, hypnotized by the lone point of light in the vast emptiness, only to be engulfed in an instant. It is a hunt conducted with a living lantern. Now, imagine a small shrimp startled by a predator. It cannot produce a cloud of dark ink to hide itself. What use is darkness within darkness? Instead, it spews a cloud of brilliant, bioluminescent chemicals. For a moment, the predator is blinded, dazzled by a sudden supernova of light. The shrimp vanishes, leaving its attacker in a constellation of confusion. This is a smokescreen made of light. There is an even more cunning defense. Some jellyfish and small crustaceans, when caught by a predator, will flash brilliantly. This is not to scare their attacker, but to call for help. It is a burglar alarm. The sudden, bright light attracts the attention of something even larger and hungrier, which may attack the initial predator, allowing the smaller creature to escape in the ensuing chaos. It is a desperate, brilliant gamble, a story of life and death told in a single flash. But this light is not just for hunting and defense. It is for love. It is for community. In the vast, lonely dark, how does one find a mate? With a silent symphony of light. Patterns of glowing spots on a fish's flank act as a unique signature, a name badge that says, "I am of your kind." A male squid might perform a dazzling, complex dance of shifting colors, a courtship ritual of shimmering light, a love letter written in pulses and waves. These are conversations held in a silent syntax of color and rhythm. The deep ocean, which at first seemed empty, is revealed to be a city at night, full of signals, messages, and secret conversations whispered in a language of living photons. There is even camouflage. In the twilight zone above us, where a faint light still filters from above, some creatures practice a breathtaking art called counterillumination. They have light-producing organs on their bellies, which they use to perfectly match the faint glow from the surface. To any predator looking up from below, they simply vanish, their silhouette erased, painted out of existence with their own light. They wear a cloak of light to become one with the faint memory of the sun. This is the great, poetic inversion. When we look up at the cosmos, we see a universe lit from the outside in by the ancient, thermonuclear fire of stars. The light we see is fossil light, a relic of a past energy. In the deep ocean, the universe is lit from the inside out. Each point of light is a life, a purpose, a story happening right now. It is a biological cosmos, a galaxy of living souls, each one a tiny, shimmering miracle of evolution. The darkness is not an emptiness to be feared. It is the canvas upon which life has painted its most brilliant and most secret masterpiece. Section 4. The primordial soup still simmers. As these living stars pulse and fade in the velvet blackness, your awareness shifts to the medium itself. The water. In the cosmos, the great wonder is the void, the near-perfect vacuum that separates planets, stars, and galaxies. It is a canvas of almost absolute nothingness. Distances are so vast that a traveler between worlds would spend eons in sterile emptiness. The mystery of space is the mystery of distance and isolation. But here, in the inner space of the ocean, the opposite is true. The mystery is not emptiness, but fullness. The water that surrounds you is not a void to be crossed. It is the very substance of existence. It is a rich, complex, and connecting medium. It is a soup. Imagine the planet's life as one great, continuous process. In the sunlit world far above, life is exuberant and prolific. Photosynthesis, fueled by the sun, creates a staggering amount of organic matter, trillions upon trillions of tiny plankton, the foundation of the marine food web. They live, they are eaten, they die. And everything that dies, everything that is excreted, every tiny fragment of life from that bright, chaotic world above, begins a long, slow journey downward. This is a phenomenon known as marine snow. As you drift here in the timeless dark, imagine a slow-motion blizzard that never ceases. It is not made of frozen water, but of the dust of life itself. Tiny specks of dead algae, the minuscule shells of zooplankton, flakes of fish scales, fecal pellets, and clumps of mucus, the confetti from a party you cannot see, a feast whose leftovers rain down into the quiet depths. It is a ghostly manna from a heaven this world has never seen. Each flake falls with a slowness that is hard to comprehend, taking weeks or months to complete its journey to the abyssal floor. As it falls, it is a traveling ecosystem. Bacteria cling to it, decomposing it, using its energy. Tiny crustaceans may graze upon it as it passes. The snow gathers more particles, growing heavier, continuing its descent. To the patient creatures of the abyss, this gentle, unending snowfall is the primary source of food. They are the ultimate frugalists, the masters of conservation. A sea cucumber, moving with glacial slowness across the muddy floor, ingests the sediment, filtering out these nutrient-rich flakes. A brittle star, like a delicate skeleton, waves its feathery arms in the faint current, snaring passing particles of this life-giving dust. This process transforms the very water into a chemical broth. It is not pure H2O. It is infused with the dissolved organic signatures of the world above. It carries scents, hormones, and chemical trails. It is a liquid memory, a connecting tissue that ties the sunlit surface to the deepest trench. Unlike the vacuum of space, which isolates worlds, the water of the ocean connects them, carrying whispers of life from one realm to another. But the gentle rain of marine snow is only one half of the story. There is another source of life here, one that is far more alien, far more primal. As you continue to drift, you begin to feel a change in the water. A subtle warmth. A strange taste on your imaginary tongue. A metallic, sulfuric tang. You are approaching one of Earth's secret hearts. Ahead, rising from the seabed like a twisted cathedral spire, is a black smoker.
À hydrothermal vent.
This is a place where the boundary between geology and biology dissolves. It is a fissure in the Earth's crust, a crack that leads down towards the planet's molten core. Seawater seeps into these cracks, where it is superheated by magma, the fiery blood of the Earth. This water, now blisteringly hot and enriched with dissolved minerals from the rock, is forced back up and out into the cold, crushing darkness of the abyss. As this superheated, mineral-rich fluid hits the near-freezing seawater, the minerals instantly precipitate, crystallizing to form a chimney, a hollow, growing structure of sulfides and sulfates. From its peak billows a thick, black cloud of what looks like smoke. But it is not smoke. It is a dense plume of fine mineral particles, iron, copper, zinc, the very guts of the planet, exhaled into the ocean. Here, the rules of life are rewritten. The sun is utterly irrelevant. The marine snow is a distant, secondary concern. Life here is not based on photosynthesis, the conversion of light into energy. It is based on chemosynthesis, the conversion of chemical energy into life. At the base of this food web are not plants, but bacteria. Archaea, some of the oldest forms of life on Earth. These incredible microbes perform a kind of dark alchemy. They breathe the toxic chemicals pouring from the vent, primarily hydrogen sulfide, the compound that gives rotten eggs their smell. In the place of sunlight, they use the raw chemical energy of this volcanic breath to create sugars, to build organic matter. They are eating the planet's exhalations. They are spinning life out of poison and heat. And upon these microbes, an entire ecosystem, a true alien world, is built. Look closer at the chimney. It is encrusted with life. Ghostly white crabs, blind and pale, scuttle across its surface, feeding on the bacterial mats. Strange, dandelion-like siphonophores drift in the warm currents. But most stunning of all are the tube worms. They stand in thick clusters, some of them 6 feet tall. They have no mouth, no gut, no anus. They are simply a soft body inside a tough, white, chitinous tube. From the top of this tube unfurls a brilliant, blood-red plume. This plume is not for breathing oxygen in the way we know it. It is a gill of impossible function. It absorbs both oxygen from the seawater and hydrogen sulfide from the vent fluid, a combination lethal to most life, and delivers it safely to a vast colony of chemosynthetic bacteria living inside the worm's body. The bacteria feed on the chemicals, producing sugars, and in return, they feed the worm. The worm is a farmer, tending a garden of chemical-eating microbes within its own body. It is a living testament to a symbiotic partnership born in hellish conditions. These vent fields are oases of life, but they are oases in a desert of cold and dark. They are islands of bizarre, furious activity, completely disconnected from the solar-powered world we know. Finding a hydrothermal vent on the ocean floor is like an astronaut finding a thriving, self-sufficient city on a dark, distant asteroid. It proves that life does not need a sun. It only needs a source of energy, and the planet itself can provide. So the ocean is not just one soup, but many. It is a vast, cold, thin broth flavored by the marine snow from above, and it is punctuated by these rich, hot, intensely concentrated stews of chemosynthesis from below. It is a medium that allows for more than one way to live. This chemical richness, this dual-engine system of energy, is something the barren vacuum of space simply cannot offer. The ocean isn't just a container for life. It is an active ingredient, a simmering pot where new recipes for existence are constantly being stirred. But this soup is not held in a simple, uniform bowl. Its container is just as complex and mysterious as the life within it. Section 5. The Hidden Architecture of Life. The idea of the ocean as a great, simmering soup is a powerful one. But any soup must be held within a bowl. And for a long time, we imagine the bowl of the ocean floor to be a simple vast, smooth, featureless basin, a concave desert of mud and silt curving with the planet. A world of numbing uniformity. But as our ability to see into this darkness has grown, not with light, but with sound, with sonar that paints pictures with echoes, we have discovered that this bowl is anything but simple. The seabed is the most dynamic, most dramatic, and most secretive landscape on our planet. It is a world of impossible topography, a hidden continent with features that dwarf anything you know on land. This is not just a container for life. Its very shape is a catalyst for it. Its architecture creates countless hidden worlds. As we continue our journey, let us first drift over what was once thought to be the entirety of this world, the abyssal plains. Imagine flying in the dead of night over the great prairies of North America or the steppes of Central Asia. Below you is an expanse of profound flatness, stretching to a horizon you cannot see. The abyssal plains are like this, but on a scale that beggars belief. They are the flattest, most extensive regions on the surface of the Earth, vast blankets of fine sediment, the accumulated dust of marine snow and continental erosion, smoothed over millions of years by the gentle, persistent currents. Here, life is sparse and slow. Creatures are spread thin, wandering these dark deserts in search of the meager sustenance that falls from above. It is a world of patience, of conservation, a landscape that seems to go on forever. You could travel for hundreds of miles and see nothing but the same soft, muddy floor, punctuated only by the burrow of a worm or the slow track of a sea cucumber. It is a beautiful, meditative emptiness. But this flatness is a lie. Or rather, it is only one part of a much larger, more violent truth. For winding its way across the entire globe, like a raised seam on a baseball, is the single largest geological feature on Earth, the mid-ocean ridge system. This is a mountain range that is over 40,000 miles long, a continuous chain of volcanoes that wraps around the planet, hidden entirely beneath the water. It is the spine of the world. Here, the tectonic plates, the great, slow-moving rafts of the Earth's crust, are pulling apart. And into the gap, magma from the mantle constantly wells up, creating new ocean floor. This is a place of birth, a wound that never heals, but continuously creates. The hydrothermal vents we visited earlier are but small, super-hot expressions of this immense, planet-spanning process. The mountains of this range are jagged and young, fresh from the fire below, not yet worn down by wind and rain. They are a landscape of raw, elemental power, a place where the planet is still being made. And where the Earth creates, it must also destroy. As you drift away from the ridge, you travel over crust that is progressively older, colder, and denser. Eventually, this heavy ocean floor meets the lighter rock of a continent and is forced to bend and plunge back down into the Earth's mantle. And in these places, the seabed forms the deepest, most extreme environments on our planet, the ocean trenches. Imagine an anti-mountain, a scar carved into the world. You are now hovering at the edge of the Mariana Trench, the deepest of them all. If you were to take Mount Everest, the highest point on land, and place it at the bottom of this trench, its peak would still be submerged by over a mile of water. To descend into a trench is to enter a world beyond the abyss. It is the Hadal Zone, named for Hades, the ancient Greek underworld. The pressure here exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. It is a force so great that it warps the laws of biology. The darkness is more than absolute. It feels ancient, final. The silence is profound. These trenches are not just deep, they are narrow and V-shaped. They act as natural funnels, concentrating the falling marine snow and any carcasses that happen to sink into them. So, paradoxically, these deepest of places can be zones of relative abundance, where strange creatures, masters of pressure, gather to feast on the concentrated detritus from the world above. But more importantly, these trenches are islands of isolation. A creature evolved to live in the crushing pressure of the Mariana Trench cannot simply swim across the abyssal plain to the Japan Trench. The shallows between them still miles deep would be an insurmountable barrier, a low-pressure environment in which it could not survive. Each trench is a world unto itself, a separate evolutionary experiment running in the deepest basement of the planet. And it is not just the highest highs and the lowest lows that create these hidden worlds. Scattered across the vastness of the abyssal plains are thousands upon thousands of seamounts. These are underwater mountains, ancient volcanoes that rise from the ocean floor but do not break the surface of the water. Some are solitary peaks, lonely sentinels in the dark. Others form chains and clusters, archipelagos of the abyss. A seamount is a miracle for deep-sea life. In a world that is mostly soft, shifting mud, it provides a hard, stable surface. It is a rock in a world of silt, and life rushes to colonize it. Corals, not the sun-loving kind of the tropics, but deep, cold-water corals of ghostly white and pale pink, form intricate, ancient forests on their slopes. Sponges of glass and bizarre design grow to enormous sizes, filtering the water. These structures then provide homes and shelter for a riot of other life-brittle stars, crabs, anemones, and 1,000 species of fish. A seamount is an oasis, a citadel of life in the desert of the abyssal plain. It disrupts the slow, deep currents, causing the water to swirl and rise in upwellings, bringing nutrients up from the depths and trapping the falling marine snow. They are biological hotspots, teeming cities in the dark. And like the trenches, each seamount is an island. A fish or a crab that lives on one seamount may be separated from the next by hundreds of miles of barren, inhospitable plain. It is a gap too vast to cross. So the life that evolves on one seamount can become unique to that seamount alone. It is a deep-sea Galapagos. Biologists have found that a significant percentage of the species found on any given seamount are endemic. They are found nowhere else on Earth. Every time we send a robotic explorer to a seamount we have never visited before, we are, in essence, making first contact with a new world. We are discovering species that have lived in isolation for millions of years, whose existence was confined to a single, submerged mountain. So picture this hidden architecture now. A globe-spanning volcanic spine of creation. Deep, isolated scars of destruction where the world swallows itself. Vast, muddy deserts stretching for thousands of miles. And rising from those deserts, tens of thousands of lonely, teeming mountain islands, each one a potential cradle of unique life. This is why the ocean is such a vast repository of undiscovered species. It is not one environment, but millions of them, all nested within each other. The landscape itself creates the barriers, the isolation, the unique conditions necessary for evolution to run wild in countless parallel experiments. We are not just exploring a new world. We are exploring a new continent of hidden countries, each with its own strange and wonderful citizens. And some of these citizens are not new at all, but impossibly, unimaginably old. Section 6. Echoes of a Primordial World. Having now journeyed through the hidden architecture of the deep, a landscape of fire-born mountains and world-swallowing trenches, you begin to sense a new quality in this inner space. It is a quality of deep, profound, and monumental stillness. The dramatic landscapes we have witnessed, for all their violence of origin, now exist in a state of near-perfect stasis. The forces that shape them move with the slowness of continental drift, on a timescale not of days or years, but of eons. This is perhaps the most profound difference between the world below and the world above. Your world, the sunlit world, is a place of frantic, chaotic change. It is a world of seasons: off spring's violent green birth, summer's hazy heat, autumn's golden decay, and winter's icy sleep. It is a world battered by hurricanes, scorched by fires, and reshaped by floods. Even a simple daily cycle of light and dark, of sun and moon, is a constant, rhythmic disruption. Over longer timescales, your world has been scoured by ice ages, pummeled by asteroids, and transformed by the restless evolution of continents. The surface of the Earth is a canvas that is constantly being painted over. But the deep ocean is buffered from all of this. It is a sanctuary of stability. The immense column of water above, miles thick, acts as the greatest shock absorber imaginable. The fiercest hurricane that churns the surface into a maelstrom is but a faint, unfelt whisper in the abyss. The seasons do not exist here. The temperature in the deep remains crushingly cold and unnervingly constant, hovering just a few degrees above freezing, year after year, millennium after millennium. The great ice ages came and went, locking the world in glaciers, but here in the deep, the change was subtle, a minor fluctuation in a vast, stable system. There is no weather here.
There is no day.
There is no night. There is only the eternal, stable, crushing, cold dark. In a world of constant change, the engine of evolution is always running at full throttle. Life must constantly adapt or perish. New designs are favored, old ones are cast aside. But in a world that does not change, the pressure to evolve is vastly diminished. If a particular design, a particular way of being is perfectly suited to this stable environment, then what reason is there to change it? If a key fits a lock perfectly, there's no need to recut it. And so, the deep ocean has become Earth's great vault, its memory keeper. It is a quiet, dark, cold museum where the exhibits are still alive. It is here that we find the echoes of primordial worlds, the living fossils that give us a breathtaking glimpse into the deep past. Let your imagination summon one such echo now. A fish, about the size of a human, with a heavy, armored body and an unsettling, ancient gaze. Its fins are not the delicate, papery fins of a modern fish. They are thick, fleshy, and muscular, mounted on lobes that look strangely like nascent limbs. This is the coelacanth. For decades, we knew the coelacanth only from the cold, hard evidence of stone. Its fossils were common in rocks from the time of the dinosaurs. The story science told was clear. This was an ancient line of fish that swam in primeval seas, and it went extinct 66 million years ago, wiped out in the same great dying that claimed the great lizards. It was a closed chapter, a finished story. Until one day, in 1938, off the coast of South Africa, a fisherman pulled one from the water, alive and struggling. It was the biological equivalent of finding a living, breathing triceratops in a remote jungle. The scientific world was stunned. The story was not over. A small population had survived, having retreated into the stable refuge of the deep sea, a world not so different from the one in which it had first evolved. It had found its timeless pocket and simply persisted. It had waited out the apocalypse in the planet's basement. To look at a coelacanth is to look at a blueprint for a world to come. Those strange, lobed fins are the evolutionary ancestors of the limbs of every amphibian, every reptile, every dinosaur, every bird, and every mammal, including you. It is a fish that carries within its body the ghost of a leg, a whisper of the moment when life was contemplating its first tentative steps onto land. It is a living message from a 400-million-year-old past. Now, let another shape emerge from the darkness. It is a shark, but a shark of a kind that haunts the imagination. It is pale and pinkish-gray, its skin soft and flabby. Its most striking feature is a long, flat, blade-like snout that juts forward from its head. And beneath this snout, a set of jaws, filled with needle-like teeth that are not fixed but protrusible, able to launch forward from its face like a slingshot to snatch its prey. This is the goblin shark. It looks like a creature from a fever dream, an artist's flawed and grotesque sketch. But its design is not flawed, it is ancient. It belongs to a lineage of sharks that is 125 million years old. It is a survivor from the Cretaceous period. In the absolute darkness where it lives, its strange snout is not for seeing, but for sensing. It is covered in organs called the ampullae of Lorenzini, which can detect the faint electrical fields generated by the muscles of its prey. It hunts not by sight, but by feeling the faintest electrical ghost of life in the water. Its terrifying, extendable jaw is a brutally efficient mechanism perfected millions of years ago for ambushing other slow-moving inhabitants of the deep. It is not a monster. It is a masterpiece of ancient engineering that has never needed an update. Finally, picture a creature of serene and mathematical beauty, a being that carries its history on its back. The chambered nautilus. It moves with a gentle, jet-propelled grace, its many slender tentacles waving softly in the current. But its true wonder is its shell, a perfect logarithmic spiral of pearlescent white and soft orange stripes. As the nautilus grows, it builds a new, larger chamber for its body to live in, sealing off the old one behind it. Its shell is a record of its life, a spiral staircase of its own past. This design, this beautiful piece of living architecture, is over 500 million years old. The nautilus swam in the seas before the first fish had evolved jaws, before plants had colonized the land. It is a lonely survivor of a vast dynasty of shelled cephalopods, the ammonites, that once ruled the world's oceans. It saw the dinosaurs rise and fall. It has persisted through 5 mass extinctions. To see a nautilus is to see a living memory of an ocean we can otherwise only imagine through fossils. It is a silent, graceful monarch from a lost kingdom, still ruling its small, dark, quiet territory in the deep. These are not just curiosities. They are time travelers. They remind us that the deep ocean is not just a place of new discovery, but of profound continuity. It is a world where time moves differently, where the past is not a foreign country but a living, breathing neighbor. It is the Earth's attic, filled with priceless heirlooms that have been kept safe from the chaos of the floors below. And by studying these ancient survivors, by understanding how they have persisted, we are not just learning about the past. We are learning about the fundamental nature of life and endurance, and about the bizarre and wonderful senses these creatures have had to rely on to navigate their timeless world. Section 7. A symphony of unseen senses. We have journeyed through a world sculpted by pressure, painted with living light, and built on a foundation of impossible landscapes. We have met its ancient, time-traveling inhabitants. But now, we must ask a more intimate question. What is it truly like to be one of these creatures? How do they perceive this world? To understand this, we must first be willing to let go of our own senses, to admit their profound inadequacy in this realm. Your consciousness is housed in a vessel built for the sunlit land. Your world is primarily defined by 2 senses, sight and sound. You see the shape of the world through photons bouncing off surfaces. You hear its vibrations traveling through the thin medium of air. Your sense of touch is limited to your skin. Your senses of taste and smell, while powerful, are often secondary, used to appreciate a meal or catch the scent of rain on the wind. But here, in the eternal, silent, crushing dark, your eyes are useless. They are hungry for a light that will never come. Your ears, attuned to the vibrations of air, would be overwhelmed or deafened by the dense, incompressible nature of water, which carries sound in a completely different way. To be human in the abyss is to be blind, deaf, and mute. You are in a sensory deprivation tank the size of a planet. To the creatures who live here, however, this world is not silent. It is not empty. It is not dark. It is a place of overwhelming sensation, a rich tapestry of information that they perceive through senses so refined, so alien, they are almost magical to us. They do not see the world. They feel it, they taste it, they perceive its very electrical pulse. Let us begin with the most fundamental sense of the deep.
Taste.
And smell. In the liquid medium of the ocean, these 2 senses, which are distinct for you, merge into one powerful, all-encompassing reality: chemoreception. Imagine that the water itself is a library, and every living thing, every event, writes its story into the currents in a chemical ink. The slow decay of a whale that has fallen to the seafloor, miles away, is not an event to be seen.
It is a story to be tasted.
It releases a complex plume of organic molecules, a signature of death and sustenance, that drifts on the slow, inexorable currents. A deep-sea eel or a scavenging hagfish, from far beyond the horizon of any conceivable sight, will detect the first, faint whisper of this chemical message. A few molecules, arriving on the current, are enough. Its world is not one of shapes and colors, but of gradients. It turns its head, and the taste is slightly stronger on its left side. And so it turns left, beginning a journey that may take days or weeks. It is following a breadcrumb trail made of molecules, a trail that grows richer, more complex, more flavorful as it gets closer. It can taste the difference between a recent fall and an old one. It can distinguish the chemical signature of a bony fish from that of a squid. This is not just smelling. This is reading a detailed report, written in a language of decay. Love, too, is written in this chemical ink. A female fish, ready to spawn, releases a pheromone, a specific, unique molecule that is a whisper of invitation into the vastness. A male of her species, perhaps hundreds of yards away, will detect that singular scent. It is a key in a lock. It ignores all the other chemical noise, the taste of mud and stone and ancient decay, and hones in on that one perfect signal of promise. It is a love story told across a dark, empty space, a romance of pure chemistry. Now, let us imagine another layer of perception, a sense that is perhaps the truest sixth sense on our planet. It is the sense of touch, expanded to become a form of three-dimensional sight. Look at the flank of any deep-sea fish. You might see a faint line running from its gills to its tail. This is the lateral line. It is not a decoration. It is a sensory organ of profound sophistication. It is a system of tiny pores connected to a canal beneath the skin. Within this canal are clusters of tiny, hair-like cells, the same kind of cells that allow you to hear. But these cells are not listening for sound. They are reading the water itself. Every movement in the ocean, no matter how small, creates a pressure wave, a disturbance in the water. The lateral line is an antenna that feels these disturbances with incredible precision. A fish swimming in the absolute blackness does not need to see the wall of a trench ahead. It feels the pressure wave of its own swimming reflecting off the rock face, creating a pressure image of the obstacle in its mind. It is a form of natural sonar, but instead of sending out a ping of sound, it reads the echoes of its own passage. It can feel the approach of a predator not by seeing its shape, but by feeling the signature of its movement, the unique push it makes against the water. It can feel the frantic, high-frequency vibrations of a small, struggling shrimp nearby. A school of fish can move in perfect, breathtaking synchrony, turning and weaving as one single organism, not because they are watching a leader, but because each fish is feeling the precise location and intention of its neighbors through its lateral line. They are connected by an invisible, fluid network, dancing in a silent ballet choreographed by pressure. This sense turns the water from a simple medium into a three-dimensional spider's web. The fish is the spider at the center, and every vibration, every tremor, tells it exactly what is happening in its world. And now, we come to the most alien sense of all, a sense that verges on the supernatural. Electroreception. Every living thing is a small, biological battery. The contraction of a muscle, the firing of a nerve, even the gentle beat of a heart, these actions generate tiny, almost immeasurable electrical fields. On land, in the thin, non-conductive medium of air, this electricity dissipates instantly, invisibly. But saltwater is an excellent conductor. In the deep ocean, the faint electrical ghost of every living creature lingers around it like an aura. And some predators have learned to see this aura. Think again of the goblin shark, drifting silently in the black. Its long, strange snout is covered in hundreds of pores, the ampullae of Lorenzini. These are not for smelling or for touch. They are electroreceptors of breathtaking sensitivity. They can detect changes in the electrical field as small as a few nanovolts. The shark is blind, but its world is illuminated. As it glides over the soft mud of the seafloor, it does not see the small crab buried beneath the silt, but it sees the faint, rhythmic flicker of the crab's heartbeat. It sees the tiny spark of a nerve firing in a hidden worm. It perceives the world not as a collection of physical objects, but as a constellation of living sparks. It is hunting the very hum of life itself. This is a world of sensation beyond our wildest dreams. A place where you taste distance, feel the shape of movement, and see the spark of a heartbeat in the dark. The creatures here are not impoverished by the lack of light. They are enriched by a symphony of other senses. Their reality is a woven fabric of chemical trails, pressure maps, and electrical fields. And it is this profound, alien perception that makes our own attempts to explore their world feel so clumsy, so limited. We are visitors fumbling in the dark with thick gloves and remote-controlled eyes, trying to comprehend a world that its inhabitants experience as a seamless, vibrant whole. We are trying to understand a symphony by looking at just one silent instrument. Section 8. The Great Human Barrier. We have spent our journey immersed in a world of alien senses, a symphony of chemistry, pressure, and electricity. We have imagined what it is to be a creature of the deep. And now, in that context, we must turn the lens back upon ourselves, upon humanity, and ask a simple, humbling question. Why, in an age of such technological marvel, does this realm remain so stubbornly, so profoundly unknown? The answer lies in a fundamental difference between our two great explorations. To study the cosmos, for the most part, we look. To study the ocean, we must touch. And this simple distinction changes everything. Imagine yourself once more on that clear night, gazing at the stars. Between your eye and the most distant galaxy, there is almost nothing. A near-perfect vacuum. This emptiness, this void, is the greatest ally of the astronomer. It is a clean, clear window. Light can travel across it for billions of years, its message pristine, its path unobstructed. Our telescopes are our eyes, and we have built them to be gigantic, powerful, and patient. We can sit comfortably on our solid ground, in our atmosphere, and simply wait for the ancient light to arrive. We are passive observers, receiving postcards from the past. Now, turn your gaze back to the ocean. The water that separates you from the abyssal floor is not a clean window. It is a wall. It is a thick, dense, and distorting medium. It absorbs light, it scrambles radio waves, and it exerts a force of unimaginable power. You cannot simply look through it. To know what is there, you must physically go. But we cannot go. Our soft, air-filled bodies are fundamentally incompatible with that world. So, we must build proxies. We must send our senses, encased in shells of metal and ceramic, down into the crushing dark. This is the great human barrier, the immense, brutal, physical challenge of just getting there. Let us consider the challenges one by one, like the links in a great chain that tethers us to the surface. First, there's the pressure, the great gatekeeper we have already met. To build a machine that can survive at 4 miles deep is a monumental feat of engineering. You cannot just use thick steel. It would be too heavy. It would collapse under its own weight before it even reached the bottom. So engineers must use materials of almost magical properties, perfectly machined spheres of thick titanium for housing delicate electronics, and blocks of something called syntactic foam. This is not the foam of a mattress. It is a composite material made of tiny, hollow glass spheres embedded in an epoxy resin. It is one of the few materials strong enough to withstand the pressure, yet light enough to provide buoyancy, to allow our robotic explorers to return from the abyss. Every camera, every light, every thruster must be designed to not just resist being crushed, but to function perfectly while being squeezed from all directions by the weight of a skyscraper. Second, there is the darkness. Our robot has arrived, its titanium shell intact. Now it must see. It switches on its powerful lights. But the ocean fights back. The water is not empty. It is full of that marine snow, the constant blizzard of organic particles. The light from our robot's lamps hits this snow and scatters, creating a blinding, hazy fog, like driving through a blizzard at night with your high beams on. The robot's vision is limited to a tiny bubble of clarity, a pool of light perhaps only 20 or 30 feet across. Imagine trying to map a continent the size of Africa with nothing but a single flashlight. You can see one small patch of ground with perfect clarity. But 5 feet to your left, there is only absolute, impenetrable blackness. You inch forward, your world a tiny, moving circle of knowledge in an infinite ocean of ignorance. This is the reality for our deep-sea cameras. It is a painstaking, piecemeal exploration. Contrast this with the Hubble or James Webb telescopes, which can take a single image that contains 10,000 entire galaxies in a patch of sky that appears empty to the naked eye. Our view of the cosmos is panoramic. Our view of the deep is myopic. Third, there is the challenge of conversation. How do we speak to our robot? How does it speak to us? We live in a world of invisible information, of Wi-Fi, of radio waves that carry data at the speed of light. But salt water is like a sponge for radio waves. They are absorbed almost instantly. You have better cell reception on the moon than you do 30 feet beneath the surface of the ocean. So, to communicate, we must rely on something much more primitive: sound. We use acoustic modems that send data as pulses of sound pings and chirps that travel slowly through the water. The bandwidth is minuscule. Think of the dial-up modem from the early days of the internet, that screeching, hissing sound that delivered information at a crawl. That is the state-of-the-art for deep-sea communication. A high-resolution image from the Mars rover can be sent across millions of miles of space and arrive on Earth in a matter of minutes. A single, grainy, low-resolution image from an untethered deep-sea robot can take hours to transmit, ping by agonizing ping, up through the miles of water. Often, the only way to get the real data, the stunning high-definition video, is to physically bring the robot back to the ship and plug it in. We send our explorers on journeys that last for days, and we must wait until they return to learn what they saw. It is an exploration defined by patience and by a profound sense of disconnect. And so you are there, on the deck of a research vessel, rolling on the waves. You are not an astronaut looking through an eyepiece. You are a puppeteer. You are controlling a multi-million-dollar robot, your avatar, that is connected to you by a fiber-optic tether, a technological umbilical cord miles long. You are flying it through a dark, alien world via a joystick, its flashlight view displayed on a screen in front of you. You are navigating without GPS, using a complex system of acoustic beacons. You are fighting currents you cannot see. And every moment, you are aware that this fragile, expensive extension of your senses is existing in a realm that would annihilate you in an instant. This is why the ocean holds more mysteries. The cosmos invites our gaze. The ocean resists our presence. The barriers are not of distance, but of substance. They are not passive, but active. Every discovery we make in the deep is not just a discovery of a new creature, but a victory. A victory over pressure, over darkness, over silence, and over the fundamental incompatibility of our world and the world below. It is a hard-won knowledge, scraped from the most hostile environment on Earth. And because it is so hard-won, it is slow. And because it is slow, the ocean will keep its secrets for a long, long time to come. Section 9. New Worlds Found Daily. We have acknowledged the Great Barrier, the immense, crushing, light-stealing wall of water that stands between our curiosity and the mysteries of the deep. We have felt the humbling limitations of our technology, the slow, painstaking nature of this exploration. It would be easy, in the face of such challenges, to feel a sense of hopelessness, to believe that this inner space will forever keep its secrets locked away. And yet, for all its resistance, the ocean sometimes grants us a glimpse. With every hard-won victory over the pressure and the dark, with every successful dive of our robotic avatars, the veil is pulled back for a moment. And in those moments, we are rewarded with wonders so profound, so utterly new, that they reaffirm the entire struggle. You are living in the golden age of marine discovery.
Right now.
Not in the past, with tall ships and hand-drawn maps, but today, in the quiet control rooms of research vessels, humanity is making first contact with new worlds on a near-daily basis. Let us join one of these missions now. You are in that darkened control room, your consciousness projected into the robot miles below. The only reality is the screen, the pool of light cast by the vehicle's lamps moving across the muddy seabed. For hours, it has been a landscape of serene monotony. And then the pilot stops. In the corner of the light, a shape resolves. It looks impossible. A slender, delicate stalk rises from the seafloor, and at its top, it splits into two large, curved, cup-like structures. They face outward, like two great ears listening to the silent darkness. The creature is pale, almost translucent, a ghost in the machine's headlights. It is a sponge, but it looks like nothing else. It resembles a prop from a science fiction film, a sentinel from another planet. Its scientific name, Advena magnifica, is a nod to this otherworldly appearance. Advena means alien, and its common name is the ET sponge. It is a creature that seems to be listening for a secret we cannot hear, a perfect symbol for this entire journey of being from inner space that evokes the wonder of outer space. And until a few years ago, no human knew it existed. The vehicle moves on. The lights sweep across a different patch of water, this time in the midwater, the vast, empty-seeming space between the floor and the surface. And here, something else drifts into view. It is a ribbon of life, perhaps a foot long, shimmering with an iridescent glow. At its head are more than 10 pairs of long, delicate filaments, like waving tentacles. And along its body are rows of bristle-covered paddles, which it uses to swim with a strange, undulating grace. Your mind struggles to categorize it. Is it a worm? Is it a squid? The scientists who first saw it were equally baffled, giving it the simple, descriptive name squidworm. It is a living mosaic, a creature that seems to have borrowed parts from different evolutionary toolkits, combining them into something utterly unique. It belongs to a whole new branch on the tree of life that we are only just beginning to understand. It is a reminder that our neat boxes of classification worm, fish, crab are concepts from our world. In the deep, life is not bound by our expectations. It is a free-form poet, and it is still writing verses we have never read before. Let us descend deeper still, back to the crushing plains of the abyss. Your light falls upon a creature that seems, at first, unremarkable. A pale, gelatinous fish, with a face that, if you were to bring it to the surface, would sag into a caricature of Melancholy the famous blowfish. But to see it here, in its home, is to see it in its true form. Its soft, watery body is not a weakness. It is a masterpiece of surrender. It does not fight the pressure. It has become one with it. Its tissues are just slightly less dense than the water around it, allowing it to float effortlessly, a living ghost, just above the seafloor, waiting patiently for a small crustacean to drift by. To see it here is not to see an ugly creature, but to witness a perfect solution to an impossible problem. And now, we make the final descent into the Mariana Trench, the deepest wound on the planet. The pressure is 1,000 times greater than at the surface. Logic dictates that nothing complex could live here. And yet, your light catches movement. A small, pale, tadpole-like fish, almost entirely translucent, flits through the water. This is the Mariana snailfish. It is the deepest living fish ever discovered, thriving at depths of over 8,000 meters. Its body is a marvel of hadal engineering. It has no scales, its bones are soft and cartilaginous, and its cells are filled with those piezolyte molecules that protect it from being crushed. It is a creature of ultimate extremes, a fragile-looking being that is tougher than a submarine. Its discovery shattered our understanding of the limits of vertebrate life. These are not isolated incidents. Every time an ROV is sent to explore a previously unvisited seamount, a new hydrothermal vent field, or a new section of a trench, it is a near certainty that it will find species unknown to science. Biologists on these missions no longer ask if they will find something new, but how many new things they will find today. It is an age of relentless discovery. And sometimes, we don't just find a new species, we find a whole new type of world. We stumble upon a whale fall. A great leviathan from the sunlit world has died, and its colossal body has sunk to the abyssal floor. In this food-poor desert, such an event is like the founding of a city. The carcass becomes an explosion of life. For years, scavengers like hagfish and sleeper sharks strip the flesh. Then come the bone specialists, including a bizarre worm named Ostax, the bone-eating snot flower, which sends down roots that drill into the skeleton, dissolving the marrow. The whale's bones, rich in lipids, become the foundation for chemosynthetic communities, similar to those at hydrothermal vents, that can thrive for 50 to 100 years. A single dead whale becomes a bustling metropolis, a cathedral of bone that supports hundreds of species, many of which are found nowhere else. We have found entire petrified forests of white, carbonate chimneys, the Lost City, a type of hydrothermal vent field that is not driven by volcanic heat, but by a cooler chemical reaction within the rock of the seafloor, producing methane and hydrogen that supports a completely different suite of microbial life. This discovery suggests an entirely separate pathway for the origin of life, one that could potentially exist on icy moons in our own solar system. We are turning the pages of a book whose length we cannot guess. We are cartographers charting a continent in the dark. The sense of wonder is not diminishing, it is accelerating. While our knowledge of terrestrial life is approaching a point of near completion, our knowledge of the deep is still in its infancy. We know more about the surface of Mars than we do about the ecology of our own mid-ocean ridges. So when you hear that the age of exploration is over, know that it is not true. It has simply moved. It has moved from the horizontal plane of the Earth's surface to the vertical dimension of its depths. We are living in the time of Magellan and Columbus, but our new worlds are not across the sea. They are beneath it. And each new discovery is not just a new name in a textbook. It is a new question, a new possibility, a new thread in the great, complex, and still largely unread story of life on Earth. And what this story tells us, ultimately, is as much about ourselves as it is about the creatures of the deep. Section 10. The Ocean Within Us All. We have returned, for a moment, to the quiet, rolling surface of the research vessel, leaving our robotic avatar to rest in the cradle of the ship. We have witnessed the discovery of new life, impossible forms pulled from a darkness we once thought barren. The ET sponge, the squidworm, the Mariana snailfish, each one a new note in the grand, unfinished symphony of life. And as we sit with these discoveries, a final, deeper question begins to surface, a question that has been quietly drifting beneath our entire journey. Why do we feel this profound, personal sense of wonder? Why does a glimpse of a translucent fish in the deepest trench on Earth touch something so primal within us? The cosmos is vast and magnificent, full of fire and light, but its wonder is often intellectual, a wonder of scale and mathematics. The wonder of the deep ocean feels different. It feels familiar. It feels like a memory we have forgotten we possess. Perhaps it is because this entire journey into the planet's inner space has also been, in its own way, a journey into our own. What if the unexplored ocean, with its layers of light and darkness, its hidden landscapes and its ancient inhabitants, is the most perfect metaphor we have for the geography of our own consciousness? Think of your own mind as an ocean. The surface, the sunlit zone, is your conscious awareness. It is the part of you that you show to the world, the part that you know best. It is bright, busy, and active, stirred by the winds of daily events, shimmering with the thoughts, plans, and conversations that occupy your day. It is a world of clarity, of cause and effect, the world where you feel most in control. But just below this brilliant surface lies your twilight zone, your subconscious. This is the realm of dreams, of half-formed thoughts, of gut feelings and vague anxieties. Here, the light of conscious reason begins to fade. Things are no longer so clear. You see shapes and silhouettes, memories that drift by like shadows. You know there are things down here, powerful things that influence your moods and decisions, but you cannot see them clearly. They are elusive, speaking in a language of symbols and emotions rather than words. And if you are brave enough to sink deeper, you reach your own abyss. Your personal midnight zone. This is the vast, dark, and powerful realm of the unconscious. It is the part of you that has never known the light of direct scrutiny. It is the repository of your deepest instincts, your forgotten traumas, your primal fears, and your most profound creative energies. We are often taught to fear this inner darkness, to pathologize it. But our journey has taught us that the abyss is not empty. It is where the true mystery resides. It is from this deep, inner blackness that your own bioluminescence flashes. A sudden, brilliant idea that seems to come from nowhere. A flash of creative insight that solves a problem you have been wrestling with for weeks. A moment of profound intuition, a deep knowing that bypasses logic entirely. These are your anglerfish lures, your burglar alarms, your courtship dances of the soul, lighting up the darkness of your own being. The architecture of your inner world is just as complex as the ocean floor. You have your own mid-ocean ridges, the core principles, the foundational beliefs from which the new crust of your personality is constantly being formed. You have your own abyssal plains, the vast, quiet landscapes of your peaceful, everyday self. And you have your trenches, the deep wounds, the past sorrows, the places of immense pressure that have shaped you, isolated parts of yourself, yet paradoxically, have also made you who you are. And you have your seamounts, those unexpected islands of joy, skill, or passion that rise from the plains of your character, becoming hotspots of unique life and energy within you. Within this inner ocean, your own living fossils swim. Those ancient reptilian instincts for survival, the primal fear of the dark or of falling, the powerful mammalian drive to connect, to belong, to protect your young. These are the coelacanth and goblin sharks of your psyche, ancient designs that have persisted through the eons of your personal evolution because they are still, in some way, effective. They are echoes of a primordial self that is still a part of you. And you navigate this inner world with your own unseen senses. You have a lateral line for feeling the emotional currents in a room. You have a chemoreceptive ability to smell a bad situation from a mile away. You have a form of electroreception, an empathy that allows you to feel the faint, invisible spark of another person's joy or pain. This is why the deep ocean feels more mysterious than the cosmos. The stars are magnificent, glorious other. They are out there. We observe them from a distance. But the ocean is of us. Life began in its waters. The blood in your veins has a salinity that is a faint, salty echo of the primordial seas. The first 9 months of your own existence were spent floating in a warm, dark, watery world, suspended in a personal ocean. To explore the deep is to explore our own origin story. It is a homecoming. The reason we have yet to discover more species in the ocean is not just because of the technological barriers. It is because we are only just now developing the courage and the tools to explore our own depths. The final frontier is not outward, but inward. The vast, unexplored continent is not on another planet, but beneath the surface of our own skin. The alien we are most desperate to understand, the one whose mysteries dwarf all others, is the self. And so, every new creature we find in the crushing dark, every pale, gelatinous, light-making being, is not just a biological curiosity. It is a message from our own abyss. It is a testament to the fact that life persists in the places we fear to look. It is proof that in the deepest, darkest, most pressurized parts of existence, there is not emptiness, but breathtaking, resilient, and miraculous life. And so our long, slow drift comes to an end. We have journeyed from the familiar wonder of the starlit sky to the alien wonder of our planet's deep, dark heart. We have felt the immense pressure, witnessed the birth of living light, and met the ancient and brand new citizens of this inner space. We have seen how its mysteries reflect the depths within ourselves. Now, there is nowhere left to go but into the gentle abyss of your own rest. Let the soft currents of sleep carry you now. Let go of the journey and allow the quiet darkness to be a comforting blanket. The greatest discoveries often happen when we finally cease our striving and simply let ourselves sink into a peaceful, trusting stillness. Rest well, and sweet dreams.